Long ago, in a lush and lively land called Otali village, lived a woman named Mafoye. Folks in the village didn't speak kindly of her. She was known for her razor-sharp tongue and a temper hotter than a pepper stew left too long on fire. Mafoye had 3 sons, and oh, weren't they fine-looking, like the moonlight glinting on clean water. But there was trouble. Though many maidens peeked at them with hopes of becoming brides, none dared come close. Why? Because of Mafoye, a woman as difficult to handle as a wild goat in heat. Her eldest, Jabari, was gentle and warm-hearted. He moved through life like the morning breeze brushing soft yam leaves. His hands were always ready to help, his smile always ready to comfort. As he matured, Jabari began to long for a companion, someone to laugh with under the great ojin tree, someone to share evening tales with beneath the stars. One bright market day, Jabari crossed paths with a girl named Bina. She was lovely, with a voice that jingled like beads and eyes full of sunrise. Jabari's heart skipped like a drumbeat. At festival time, "This is the one," he thought. He brought her home, hoping his mother would see what he saw. But Mafoye didn't wait to hear a single greeting. "She lacks manners," Mafoye snapped, before Bina could say good evening. And before anyone could blink, Mafoye flung boiling water in Bina's direction. The poor girl ran for her life, never looking back. News traveled like smoke across Otali: "Stay away from Mafoye's sons, unless you want to meet fire." From then on, maidens ran like frightened gazelles whenever Jabari or his brothers passed. Jabari's heart, once full of dreams, felt heavy. He longed to love and be loved, but Mafoye's shadow loomed too large. The days dragged like old age, and the loneliness wore down his spirit. One day, he looked to the hills and said, "I must go. I will find someone who hasn't heard of Mafoye's rage." He packed a small bag, kissed the familiar air of Otali, goodbye, and set off. He walked far, past fields that looked like sleeping elephants, past rivers whispering tales he couldn't understand. By sunset, Jabari's legs felt like mashed plantains. His throat, dry as the harmattan wind, begged for relief. Then he saw her. A woman walked toward him, her body swaying like music. On her head, a clay pot of water sat perfectly balanced. Her smile, that smile, was like rain after a long dry season. "Excuse me, sister," Jabari croaked, his voice thin from thirst. "Please, where can I find water? My tongue is as dry as roasted maize." The young woman, named Eshe, looked at him with eyes calm like lake water. "The stream is far," she said, "but you may drink from mine." She tilted the pot and gave him water. It tasted like heaven, sweet, cool, and full of life. Jabari thanked her, his heart swelling with more than gratitude. He offered to walk her home, and Eshe agreed. As night wrapped the village in its soft shawl, they walked side by side, laughing gently like friends who'd known each other forever. Eshe's home was modest, but her heart was rich. She found Jabari a spot to sleep at her neighbor's hut. That night she cooked for him. Nothing fancy, but it tasted like celebration. In the morning the sun greeted the world, and Jabari woke up renewed. He rushed to find Eshe. "I'm Jabari from Otali," he said, his voice light with joy. "Eshe's smile answered softly. "And I'm Eshe." When Jabari looked at her, he didn't just see beauty. He saw calmness, the kind of peace only the sky holds when it's full of stars. Eshe, with her braided hair and moonlit eyes, felt familiar to Jabari's spirit. She wasn't just another girl, she was a mirror. That chance meeting felt like magic had passed through the air. Days rolled by and Jabari's world shifted. Each morning he rose thinking of Eshe. Her kindness had become the beat of his heart. The way she helped elders, the way she giggled when the goats misbehaved. To him, she was gold hidden in plain sight. Though a stranger, Jabari quickly became part of the village. He worked in fields, fixed broken fences, and laughed at moonlight gatherings. The people paid him with coins, fruits, and most importantly, belonging. But still, it was Eshe who made his heart dance. She was not loud or showy. Eshe was like the moon, steady, glowing, never asking to be noticed, yet impossible to ignore. Jabari had fallen in love, not with the shout-it-from-rooftops kind, but the kind that sits deep inside your bones, the kind you carry like a secret blessing. Other girls noticed him too. They fluttered around like butterflies. But Jabari's heart was firm, rooted like a strong Iroko tree. No matter how many petals blew in the wind, his heart always leaned toward Eshe. They spent more time together, talking about the wind, the sky, and the stories hidden in raindrops. They didn't need big moments. Even their silences spoke. Each day wove them tighter, like threads forming a beautiful woven mat. Jabari felt protective. "I want to shelter her," he told himself. "This world is harsh. She deserves softness." He sometimes remembered Mafoye, her fury, her fire. But here, under this village's gentle stars, Mafoye's shadow seemed far away. In Eshe, Jabari saw hope. Their love bloomed like hibiscus in rainy season, a fresh beginning, a second chance. And just as dreams began to take shape, Jabari knew what he had to do. "It's time," he whispered one morning. "She must meet my mother." Fear bubbled in his chest like hot soup. What if Mafoye scared her away too? But Eshe's eyes, those gentle pools, gave him courage. So they traveled to Otali. Jabari knew every stone on the path home, but that day his feet dragged with worry. When they reached the village, the sun was high, but his heart felt cloudy. Mafoye sat under the great ojin tree, weaving palm threads. Her face was stiff, like wood carved with frowns. Jabari stepped forward. "Mama," he said slowly, "I've brought someone." Eshe stepped out, graceful as a stream. "Good day, Ma," she greeted, voice as soft as yam flour. And then something wild happened. Mafoye's face melted, her hard eyes softened like butter left in sun. A warm smile crept in. "Welcome, my child," she said. "You shine like morning light." Jabari froze. This wasn't the storm he feared. Jabari stood still, his jaw nearly unhinged. Jabari stood beneath the tall ojin tree, smiling quietly as he watched the two women who meant the world to him. Eshe, the light in his heart, and Mafoye, the mother who raised him. They sat beside each other, chatting and laughing like old friends. The scene felt like a miracle, a moment too perfect to ever forget. That evening, as the sky turned into a painting of soft orange and fading pink, Jabari felt a peace he hadn't tasted in many seasons. Mafoye's welcome to Eshe had been unexpected, a soft breeze where he feared a storm. And as they said their goodbyes, Mafoye embraced Eshe with words of warmth, her voice low and sweet. "You are welcome, my daughter." Jabari and Eshe walked hand in hand, stars blooming above them like blessings. The shadow of Mafoye's old rage seemed far behind, and before them stretched a path full of promise. In that moment, Jabari believed the worst was over. He thought they had stepped into a new beginning, one wrapped in joy, kindness, and family. The days grew brighter in their home. Laughter rang louder. Meals tasted sweeter. It felt like a melody of happiness had settled over them. Eshe had passed the test, or so he thought, as in Otali, the elders say, "A quiet river may still hide a crocodile." And Mafoye, well, Mafoye was not done. One sunny afternoon, as sudden as a southern storm in dry season, Mafoye showed up at their door, bags in hand, eyes soft, smile fake. "I've missed Eshe," she said. "Let me stay with you a while." Jabari's heart skipped. Doubt crept in like ants after sugar. Why now, he wondered. Was this truly affection, or something darker wearing a mask? Still, Eshe, ever kind, welcomed her. "Our home is your home, Mama," she said. "Stay and rest. Be part of our joy." And so, Mafoye stayed. At first, Everything seemed fine. She helped around the compound, smiled often, and sat quietly at evening fires. Jabari and Eshe continued to thrive in their work, their laughter still echoing in the breeze, but time has a way of revealing hidden faces. It began with small things. "Eshe, fetch water from the deep well," Mafoye would say, the one furthest from the house. Or she'd ask her to prepare stews that needed hours of pounding, chopping, and stirring. Eshe, patient as ever, obeyed without complaint. She believed it was her duty to honor her husband's mother, to build peace with respect. But Mafoye's kindness was a snake's skin, shiny but hiding venom. Soon she followed Eshe to the market, watching her like a hawk. When Eshe smiled at customers and sold her beautiful handcrafts, Mafoye would collect the earnings. "I'm saving this for your future," she'd say. Eshe's thriving little stall, once alive with color and coins, slowly dimmed. Mafoye's grip grew tighter, like a vine choking a young tree. Then came the cruelest part. Mafoye discovered Eshe was carrying a secret, a baby growing quietly inside her. Eshe had planned to surprise Jabari with the news when he returned from a journey. But Mafoye found out first, and in her twisted heart, jealousy took root. She began mixing strange herbs, leaves known to cause confusion, bitterness, even madness if brewed wrong. She whispered spells under her breath, hoping the baby would never see the light of day. Eshe suffered in silence. She didn't scream or fight back. She woke every day with the sun, shoulders heavy, smile fading. Yet she still treated Mafoye with grace. She fetched the water, made the meals, sang softly while sweeping. Villagers began to notice. "Something's changed in Jabari's home," they murmured. "Eshe doesn't shine like before." But Eshe held on, to love, to hope, to the promise. She made to Jabari. "He will come back," she whispered to herself. "He will see, he will understand." And finally, Jabari returned. He was all joy, carrying stories from his trip and small gifts for Eshe. But as he stepped into their home, he noticed the air felt heavier. Mafoye was waiting, her face long, her voice trembling with practiced sorrow. "My son," she said, "these days have been hard. She doesn't treat me well. She ignores me. I feel like a stranger in your home." Jabari blinked. "Eshe, his Eshe, the gentlest woman in the whole of Otali." Confused and torn, Jabari went to find her. She was in the kitchen, humming while cooking, the scent of spiced yam porridge filling the air. "Eshe," he said slowly, "Mama says you've been unkind, that you've made her feel unwelcome." Eshe turned, her hand frozen in motion. "Me?" she asked, eyes wide with shock. "I've cared for her every single day. I don't understand why she'd say that." Her voice trembled like a leaf on windy waters. The house felt smaller after that. Jabari didn't know who to believe. Misunderstandings stacked up like old. Clothes with nowhere to hang. Mafoye, watching from the shadows, wore a tiny smile as she tried harder than ever. She served meals with extra care. She cleaned Mafoye's clothes, sang her favorite songs, fetched water even when she was tired. But Mafoye kept whispering lies, like wind sneaking under doors, and slowly Jabari's eyes began to shift. He watched Eshe with hesitation. The warmth in his gaze turned uncertain. Eshe felt like she was walking barefoot on thorns, trying to reach him through a forest of doubt. Still, she believed in their love. Every morning, she woke up with a prayer. Today he will see. Today, the truth will win. One morning, with her heart wrapped in hope, Eshe prepared a meal so special, seasoned with love, cooked with memory, garnished with peace. She laid the table carefully, praying it would bring them all together again. But as they sat down, Mafoye suddenly gasped. "She's poisoning me!" she screamed. "This food! Eshe wants to kill me!" Her cry rang out across the compound like a drum of war. Birds scattered, neighbors paused. Jabari's mind twisted like rope. Mother, why would Eshe? Tears rolled down Mafoye's cheeks. I know what I tasted, she sobbed. She wants me gone. Torn between two hearts, one he loved and one he owed, Jabari froze. Eshe, he said quietly, until we understand what's happening. Please, go to your mother's home. Eshe's heart shattered, like a clay pot dropped from a rooftop. She didn't argue. She packed her few things with shaking hands. Tears fell, but her back stayed straight. Dignity carried her steps. Her mother, Amaya, a healer known across villages, heard what happened, and as the sun lowered that day, Amaya stormed toward Jabari's house, her wrapper flying, her steps thunderous. She had come to face Mafoye, Eshe's. Mother stood tall, her wrapper tied firm around her waist, her voice calm and strong, like thunder gathering behind a quiet sky. Why, Mafoye? She asked, not in anger, but with the piercing sharpness of truth. Why would you accuse my daughter of such evil? The village had gathered. From the smallest children to the oldest elders, everyone stood watching, breathing in the tension like thick dust before a dry storm. A circle of truth had formed, and Mafoye stood in its center, no longer the feared matriarch of Otali, but a woman cornered by her own lies. Eshe's mother stepped closer, eyes fierce like sharpened stone. You poisoned their peace. You tried to turn love into dust. Now speak. Mafoye's hands trembled. She reached into her wrapper and pulled out a small black charm, twisted, dry, and foul-smelling. It looked like pain in physical form. I did it, she said at last. Her voice cracked as the words spilled like bitter palm wine from a cracked gourd. I was jealous. I didn't want Jabari to love anyone more than he loved me. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mothers covered their mouths. Children clung to their fathers. Even the winds seemed to pause. I mixed herbs, dangerous ones, Mafoye continued, her voice shaking. I lied about the food, about her kindness. I wanted her gone. I wanted my son back, only for me. Jabari stepped back as if the ground had shifted beneath him. His mother, the woman who raised him, held him, taught him to stand, had tried to destroy the very thing that brought peace to his life. The elders stood. Their staffs hit the ground one after the other. The sound echoed like drums of judgment. You have brought darkness into this village, one elder said. You turned a house of joy into a place of fear. You have dishonored yourself, your sons, and this community. Mafoye could not lift her head. Shame clung to her shoulders like a heavy cloth soaked in rain. You must leave Otali, the elder declared. Go and carry the weight of your deeds with you. The land will no longer carry your shadow. Mafoye opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. She looked at Jabari, her eyes pleading, broken, but empty of the power she once held. Jabari turned away. She gathered her things. No one stopped her. No one called her back. The woman who once ruled her home with fear now walked away with nothing but regret trailing behind her. As Mafoye disappeared into the trees, Jabari stood frozen, his heart torn between sorrow and betrayal. He remembered Eshe, her soft laughter, her tired eyes, the way she had kept smiling even when the world turned against her. Without a word, he walked toward the river where they once sat and laughed together. Eshe was there, kneeling by the water, her fingers touching the surface like she was asking it for strength. Eshe, Jabari whispered. She turned. Her eyes were tired, but still held light. You came, she said, voice quiet like a prayer. I have been a fool, Jabari said, his words dragging on his tongue. I believed lies when I should have protected you. I saw the storm, and I still turned away from the shelter you gave me. Eshe stood. I was hurt, she admitted, but not because you doubted me. I was hurt because I loved you, and you didn't see me. Jabari knelt before her. But I see you now, he said, not just as my wife, but as the strongest. Soul I know, will you forgive me? Tears welled in Eshe's eyes, but they did not fall. She placed a hand on his head and whispered, "It is love that brought us together. It is love that will rebuild what was broken." They walked back to the village hand in hand, and this time Otali opened its arms wider than ever before. The villagers lined the path, throwing flowers, singing songs of reconciliation. The elders welcomed them with blessings. Children danced around them, and even the old ojin tree, the silent witness to generations, seemed to sway in approval. Their love, once tested by fire, had become unbreakable iron. Mafoye, they say, wandered to a faraway place. Some say she cried every night. Others say she changed, humbled by the weight of her choices, but she never returned. Her story became a warning of what bitterness can do when it is left to grow like weeds in a garden meant for love. But the story of Jabari and Eshe, that one became a light, a tale of how even when evil knocks at the door, it is kindness, patience, and truth that hold the key. Even the sweetest love can be tested by jealousy, but truth always finds a way to shine through. Kindness may suffer in silence, but it never loses its light. In the end, it is love, truth, and unity that bring healing, no matter how dark the storm. If this story touched your heart, bestie, you're not alone. Tell us what you learned in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more powerful African tales just like this one. New stories every week. Stay tuned.